Yo, what's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Prison Break Raw. I'm your host, the one and only Big JD. Go ahead and give this channel, subscribe, share, at least some messages and comments, hit the like button, hit the notification bell to be informed on all upcoming episodes. Have I ever had a relationship with a female CO where it crossed outside of professionalism on her part into a realm of something that is very dangerous and could mean some really drastic consequences if you caught? You know what I'm saying? Sexual relationship, something to that nature. Maybe not entirely sexual, but you know what I'm saying. That kind of relationship, an intimate relationship. The short answer to that question is yes. It did happen to me one time. This is some years ago. And not going to say where it is or who she is because I don't know if she still works there or not. But I was working in culinary in the chow hall. And she had to be about maybe anywhere from 35 to 38, no older than 38. But she was bad, man. This broad was fine. And all the cats in there were all up on her, were all up in her face, were all up in her mix, all around her all the time, right? I mean, she had that, she was brown and round, and she was the one that a lot of people fantasized about whenever they're looking at their fuck books or whatnot, saying, oh, this looks like Miss What's Her Name. This looks like you know who. And there was a couple of them at this institution, and this one was definitely one of them. I mean, you had some real mud ducks in there, don't get me wrong. But this one was with it. She was bad, man. So when I'm working in there, like, the main thing is I'm just trying to maneuver through there. I'm trying to get my hustle on. I'm trying to steal, wheel, and deal like we all do in the chow hall because food is big business on that yard. And she was always staring at me, and I could never figure out why. I always thought I felt like guilty, man, like paranoid, like she's gonna bust me doing something, bringing back any kind of like steal, bringing back food, whatever. I thought she was on to me about something because she would give everybody dust. Everybody that was all up in her face, all up in her office, dudes always trying to spit game to her. She's always giving them dust. So I just thought, well, she's just stuck up, you know? So she's always staring at me and shit. And then she came up to me just one day out of the blue, and she's just looking at me, and she's just like, where did you land out of? I said, Los Angeles County. She goes, well, where are you from? And I go, around the city of Norwalk, southeast Los Angeles. She goes, oh, shit. She goes, I'm from Whittier. I'm like, oh, is that right? She goes, yeah. She goes, you know, cruising Whittier Boulevard, Lake Park, all that. Used to be about all that. She talked about how she used to tease her hair all up and everything. We just kept talking and talking and talking. And you know, she just like, well, you're a long way from home, so am I. It's good to have, you know, a home area around me, somebody that's from the area around here to talk to that I could relate to. And I'm like, yeah, I guess so. And I'm like, so, I mean, does your husband or anything like that? I mean, is he from that area? And she's just like, I ain't married. I'm like, okay, like that, right? So we were talking, and then she's just like, yeah, I'll talk to you later, and looking over her shoulder at me and giving me that look. And it kind of made me feel like, damn, this broad's fine, right? So a couple of days goes by, and it's just after count time, or it's just during the count time. They did all the count. They counted us back there on the out count, and I'm sitting in the chow hall. I'm sitting in the dining room, and I'm writing some poetry, right? And she comes up to me. And she goes, what are you doing? Who are you writing to? You writing to your girlfriend, your wife? What? I said, no, I ain't married. I ain't got no girlfriend. She goes, all right, you know, and just smiled, and I'm just like, okay. And she goes, well, what are you writing? You writing your fan? I said, no, I'm just writing some poetry. She's like, oh, you're a poet? You're a poet? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a poet. She's like, let me see. She snatched the page up, and she's reading it, and she's just like grabbing her heart, and she's doing all this and everything. I mean, shit, I'm a poet, man. Don't you know it? I mean, it's real deal. I got a book out there of poetry in case you ever want to check it out on Amazon. Me and my mom wrote it together. So she's jocking the poetry, and she's just like, write me a poem. If you really are that good, write me a poem and have it to me by the end of the day. And I'm like, okay. So now I'm thinking, like, I'm starting to write her out a poem, and one of the homies comes up. He's like, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I'm going to write a poem for Miss question mark. We're not going to say her name. And he's just like, hey, man, well, make sure that, you know, that at least I see what you're writing her and you stick it on her desk because somebody might think you're sending her a kite, you know? I go, okay, I'll make sure of that. So he read it, and he's laughing, right? He's like, man, you stupid, man. and just walked off. So he's a homie, so he ain't gonna tell on me or snitch on me or talk about it. And that's just one thing that you just do not do, right? So I wrote her a poem, and she read it, and she was just like, she pinned it up on her board and all that shit. So there was this one black dude that was in there, and he'd been in there for a while, but he was always on her, man. He was stuck to her like a Band-Aid, just stuck to her, always in there, on her shit, man. And she's just like, she would call me over, and she, hey, Rutherford, come here, and she would just start talking to me to try to get rid of him, and he'd just walk off. She's like, good, I'm just trying to get rid of that guy. I'm like, all right. So we just talk, and we were always talking. Well, finally, the validation that she was into me came when not only would I see her before I started work, she'd be standing out there, we'd be walking the track or whatever, she'd see me and she'd take a double look and smile. But it came the night we were leaving, and she's patting us all down. By the time she got to me, she got real close up on me. I could smell her perfume and everything, right? I could smell her gum, everything, and she's got her straight breasts all up on her back. This is before they were wearing those vests that keep them from getting stabbed, and she's like feeling and squeezing everything. My heart's pitter pattering. I'm just like breathing heavy. She's like ding, straight fucking rock hard status. Go back to the unit, tell myself I need some cell time. I need some cell time. He gets up all his shit and gets out. I'm up in there just whacking it away, man. It's just like, man, like I felt like I was on a honeymoon with her or something. But anyways, I just couldn't stop thinking about her, man. I was like stuck on this broad. I mean, I was young as hell, and she was older and more experienced, and she knew what she was doing. So there was this one time that we're in the chow hall, and she tells me, hey, we need to go to the back to get some beans, to get a big bag of beans to start the beans. And I'm thinking like, I don't, it's a little late for that, isn't it? But she's just like, come on, let's go. So she locks her office, takes me to the storeroom, unlocks the storeroom, and goes back there, and we walk in there, and I'm just getting ready to pick up the bag, and she's right there, and she goes, oh, that's right. Well, wait a minute, never mind. I'm looking at the wrong day. We don't have beans today. I'm like, all right. So I just left it, and she wouldn't get out of the way, and these aisles are small. You know what I mean? These aisles are kind of small. So I had to literally squeeze past her and try not to look at her. I'm all shy and embarrassed, and she's just looking at me, and then I go to open the door. She's just like, oh, like that? And I go, like what? And she goes, never mind, let's go. And right away, I'm like, damn, man, I just blew my opportunity to get any kind of action that I would have wanted to get. And I'm telling you, man, I was just like shaking. Emotions are running high. And it was just like that one dude I was telling you about, one black dude. He was always like giving me static and giving me dirty looks, always like trying to, because he was the one in charge of positioning everybody on the serving line. He tried to position me away from her. She was always at the end where the trays go out, and he's always trying to position me away from her, and he's always up in her ear, and she ain't trying to hear it. She's looking at me the whole time, smiling at me, fucking winking at me, and like I already knew. So one day, I just said, I'm going to make that move. But what I did is I went and talked to an older homie first, and I told him everything's going on. He didn't laugh. He didn't get off on it. He didn't get all into it. He's just like, I'm going to tell you right now, youngster, them broads are bad business, man. I've seen this over the years, and it's never ended well. Just be careful. I mean, you go probably do it anyways, but just be careful. He goes, I ain't mad at you, but you get caught, man, it could really go bad for you. And I'll explain to you exactly how that can go bad. So I just decided I'm going to make my move. So she's in her office. I come at her and I said, hey, we need something out of the storeroom. And she just like kind of looked at me and just, kind of shook her head. And she's just like, okay. So I take her back into the storeroom, and right off the bat, I'm just like, I look at her, I go, so what's up? And she goes, so what's up? And I just moved in for the kill, man. I'm squeezing that ass. I'm doing all these things. We're rubbing all up on each other. She's like straight, getting at my belt, getting ready to handle that business. There's a free staff dude that works in there too, but he was outside smoking, and a bunch of other cats were smoking. But next thing you know, which was odd and out of the ordinary, he just shows up and opens the storeroom door and looks in there and then shuts the door. So we were just like, oh, trying to, get out of it. The minute we seen that door popping up, it's like we just dispersed. We just moved away from each other. I don't know exactly what he seen, but he didn't say nothing. He just shut the door. Right off the bat, I opened up the door to crack it to see where he was at. And I seen that dude that I was telling you about that was all hating in my game, standing over there, looking over there, smiling. I can't prove that he did anything, but I would say all the evidence was in favor of that he's a fucking cock-blocking, hating, ratting piece of shit. And I mean, I wouldn't have done that to him, but it just so happens he did it to me. But whatever, man. Couldn't prove it, and I can't go out there and kick off a riot over that shit because you already know that's a no-no. But after that, it was like she was there a couple of days, and I decided, well, I'm going to stay away from. I started getting paranoid, right? So I stayed away from the chow hall the whole day. I didn't go to work, so I'm just like, I'll take an A day. What the fuck? And next thing you know, I get called over the PA system. Rutherford, report to culinary immediately. And then I go in there, and she's just like, what? You just going to, like, not show up to work? You're going to, like, interrogate me like she's my wife or something, right? And I'm just like, look, she's just like, look, if I was mad or if I was going to do anything stupid or if I was going to throw you under the bus, you wouldn't be here right now. And I'm like, okay, so, well, what's going to happen? What are we going to do? And she's like, just lay low for a couple days, let the heat die down. I don't know what, Mr. Such and such, what he's going to do. And I'm like, okay. So we did that, and it was kind of like we stayed away from each other for a couple of days. And next thing you know, she's gone. Now I'm really panicking. So she's gone out of there, and they put somebody else in there. She's gone. She's out of there. Now I'm really starting to panic, but nothing ever happened. So a couple of months goes by. I'm strolling the track one day, and I get hit with the flashlight from one of the windows in the building. I go over there, and I heard a female voice, hey, Rutherford, come here. And I walk over there, and it's her. And she's like, what's up, stranger? And I'm like, well, what's up? And she's just like, nothing. She's like, I guess that they suspected something or whatever, so they moved me out of there, but that was it, I'm like, so what's happening? Is anything? She's like, no, nothing bad. Nothing. It's all good. Don't worry. Everything's fine. I said, okay. And I said, so I'll probably never see you pretty much. And she's like, nah, you won't. And I said, so what's up? Can I see you when I get out? And she's like, nah, that can't happen. I'm just like, all right. She's just like, well, I wish you luck and take care of yourself. I'm like, all right. And that was it. She shut the window. And that was it. And that was my experience with crossing the line, with having that fraternization relationship with a female CO. Never going to forget that experience as long as I live. It's just something that I could just chalk off as I encountered that. I know that it happens. Now, I've heard some other dudes on some of these channels talking about that don't happen. Don't know what kind of institution they've ever been in, but this shit's been happening for years, man. Cats get caught up in a relationship with a nurse, get caught up with a relationship with somebody in education, volunteers at the church, female COs, counselors, you name it. And it happens. It happens all the time, man. It's just like, you never know when this is going to come your way. So I strongly urge you to avoid this at all costs. And I'm going to tell you why. There is a possibility that if you get caught up in a relationship with a female CO or any female staff at all, and you get caught, that broad could right off the bat start screaming rape, 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 and you're done. It's not what it is. It's not what it is. It's what it looks like. You're going to get a rape charge. You're going to get an assault on a staff charge. You're going to have an R in your jacket, and you're going to be a sex offender. And guess what? You active GP, you won't be anymore because you'll be on the S&Y yard. So my advice to you would be steer clear of them. Get your jerk on, make your little fee-fees, jack off the little pictures of next door Nikki that you get in the mail, all that stuff. Use your imagination, whatever it is. Don't break weak like I did and get caught up in a situation like that because it could be your ass. Stay the course, stay strong, have some discipline, and you'll go a long way. Just some good advice from OG Big JD, straight to you, youngster. Don't get involved in that shit. It's not worth it. Prison Break Raw, uncut, uncensored, no holds barred, no sugarcoating, non-politically correct, all up in your face. Slapping you with you know what, a reality. See you in the next one.